What's up, guys? So ever since I got my truck, my temperature gauge has been pegged to hot the whole time. And recently I've been trying to do some stuff to fix it. You know, I've traced on the wire, and you're supposed to be able to touch it to a ground, and it's supposed to be on cold normally, and then you touch it to a ground, it pegs to hot. Mine was always pegged hot no matter what. Even when I took the dash out, it was still pegged hot, and the temperature gauge needle actually was kind of, I don't know, felt kind of wobbly. So my first suspicion was that the temperature gauge itself is broken. But I don't know, one day I took it to the shop to get inspected, came back, and it's on cold. And then if I touch the ground, it somewhat will bounce back and forth from hot to cold. And I'll try and do that right now. So I'm going to touch this ground wire to just the ground. Or not the wire, ground wire, but just touch this wire to the ground. It goes back and forth. So now I'm not really sure, but I still think the gauge might be a problem because, again, I got a new gauge because I thought it was the gauge, and it doesn't. The new one needle doesn't flop back and forth like this one does when it's loose. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it out. So in order to get this out, it's recommended to have your battery unplugged for this because you're gonna twirl this out and turn your lights on. So take this out, pull it out all the way, and there's a plunger underneath on the back of the switch that you have to kind of push while you pull the arm out like that. And I'll try and show you that plunger whenever I get the dash out. And then this, you just loosen these. Sometimes you might need a little bit of more leverage to get these out. Now this one is held on by just a screw kind of tight on the bottom. Doesn't thread it anything, it's just pressure. For me it's a small common screwdriver. Give it a couple turns and then it should pull right off. Right here there's a little screw. Just loosen that underneath and it should pull right off. And again, this side is just the same way as the left side, just kind of just loosen it. Now you may or may not have to do this, but I have to lower my steering column a little bit. So if all those disconnected, for the most part, she's ready to pull out. You just need to disconnect your speedo cable in the back of here, which is just reach underneath. Just reach underneath and unscrew it. Pretty easy to get to. Speedo cable is off. The last thing holding it is oil pressure line and the connector. Connector should give you plenty of slack, but you might need to go back here a little earlier and unscrew the oil pressure line. For me, it's a 5/16. Best to use a flare nut wrench if you can. To take out your wire harness, you just squeeze the sides. Right here if you can. Alright, real quick. This is the after, but I went an extra step to take this out to, show you guys exactly where the plunger's at. So this thing right here, reach your hand back behind there, push this plunger in, and then pull the knob out, and it should come out. So that's the plunger. So right here is a speedo cable. This is what you would just unscrew for your speedometer. Take that wire out. You got your clip right there, your wiring harness, oil pressure sender. Just unscrew that. I believe these are all dash lights, and I don't think any of mine work. Got your, this is the temperature sensor, and then this is the ammeter. So I don't know the condition of this circuit board, printed circuit board, or ribbon board, whatever you call this, I forget. And it's fairly cheap enough to replace it. I think it was like 30 bucks. So I got a couple new parts. I got a new gauge bezel over there, the whole new front piece. I got the new temperature gauge, and then ribbon cable, got some more of these little plugs, and a couple light bulbs. I didn't really get all the light bulbs, I don't think, because I do eventually want to put LEDs in there, because I prefer the white LED look. So I'm just taking out all these screws around the perimeter, the back side. They are 1/4 inch for me. I don't know if they'll be the same for you. I assume they will be, but you never know. But 1/4 inch will get you started. This just lifts right up. As you can see, somebody has been in here before. They RTV'd this and taped it up a little much. Like I know it's just typically just cardboard holding these, but that one's taped on. But careful not to lose these. These are just green lenses for the turn signal. So let me try and show this. So here's my temperature gauge, and this thing is just flops back and forth. Just it'll probably be easier on the gauge at, but none of the other ones do that. So these are all 5/16. That's a little tight. Careful when you're loosening these. It looks like so you don't want to try and hold the ribbon board because you might rip it. All right, now this should be free to come out. Look at that, needle came right off. I don't know if that's supposed to happen, but anyway, it's just loose and flops back and forth, as you can see. I don't know if it's supposed to do that, because my new one, I got this from LMC. There's the part numbers and stuff. The new one does not do that. Solid. Like I said, I did get a new printed circuit board because it was cheap enough, so I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of the stuff off. From what it looks like, it's just a couple nuts right here, and, you know, pretty easy thing to do. Alright, so the new gauge came with some instructions, and apparently, now I know what this is. This is like a, I guess this is this right here, which is a resistor, so, and we're not using those. So, there's the instructions right there if you care, but yeah, probably not. Anyway, I got the new circuit board, ribbon board, or whatever you call it on. Cleaned up some couple posts and cleaned up a little bit, nothing crazy. I assume I have to take this apart a little bit because I need these little backing plates. Those are probably the retaining washers he's talking about. There's this little baggie of hardware. Alright, let's take this off for a second. Okay, it says install the gauge contact post, the original. I'm going to install the new push nut retaining washer. It's probably this little thing right here. Alright, well that was hard to get on, and I weakened it quite a bit, but I think it'll hold. Alright, step 2 is install insulator / spacer vertically over the top and bottom posts. Okay. Step 3, install a lock washer and a nut to the top and bottom post and secure the insulator / spacer. Okay, so it said lock washer, it didn't say a spacer, or regular washer. Typically you do both, right? Step 4, install insulator / spacer horizontally over the left and right hand posts. Okay, doesn't say anything about putting nuts on yet, but so I guess you don't, because step 5 says place the circuit board over the left and right hand post to retain the printed circuit board leads. Apply a flat washer, then a lock washer, and then a nut. Okay. Easy enough. Do a flat washer so it doesn't destroy. The lock washer doesn't dig into that nice shiny copper. Lock washer. Lock washer. Nut. Nut. Alright, well that's all the hardware, so I guess you're just follow the instructions. Alright, so I'm gonna just go ahead and hook up everything back else the way it was, and she should be ready to go back in the car. I got some new ones. I got some new ones of these because of I was missing a couple. These new LMC ones are a lot nicer, as you can see, and then they're a lot tighter too. So A quick tip for these old ones is, if you haven't already, clean up the contacts a little bit, and then actually bend them out a little bit so they are able to get more pressure on the printed circuit board, ribbon board, whatever, and get better contact. While you got everything out, just give it a quick little wipe down, get all the dust and stuff off of it. Alright, so we got a small problem. This new one has these pegs sticking out, whereas my old one does not. So, I don't know if I should just drill holes in both of these or just cut these off. I'm thinking cut them off. Alright, so you know everything's plastic, whatever, so I just pried them off with my hand. They popped off real easily, pretty cleanly on the base, so I guess I can call that's good. So, drop this thing in. It's got little tabs that kind of hold it in place, so nothing's really lining up like crazy, but it is what it is. As long as everything tightens down and there's nothing wobbling. I'm not gonna get everything like super tight right now. I just want to make sure I get everything started. I'm gonna lay this on a towel a little bit, just try and prevent any scratches. Already shipped with a little bit of scratch on it, which is kind of disappointing, but it is what it is. Since I'm in Canada, like, I don't even know if it'd be worth returning. I probably would be better off just buying another one. I'll show you in a little bit. It's not that big of a scratch. Alright. Seems pretty solid. So I got plugged back in. Temperature gauge went back to cold. I don't know if it's a good thing, but if you're wondering which plug, I'll take it out. Man. I already did it, showed you, but freaking camera wasn't recording. But if you're wondering which plug is for your temperature, if you look on this, it'll say number 6, the dark green. But it looks alright, huh? Oh, the problem with nice shiny new stuff is you have to be extra careful. Alright, so for the most part, I got everything kind of loosely installed. Not all bolts are in, but I hate that gauge. I want to put a factory gauge in eventually. Temperature gauge is on cold. I'll leave the steering column kind of loose in case, but... Alright, so Mia said the gauge went from hot or cold to hot when I grounded the wire. So it's time to go ahead and just run the truck, see if it warms up. Alright, so I'm back from about a 10-minute drive on battery. Temperature gauge that's about as high as it's gotten. I don't know these trucks, you know, most stuff usually runs in the middle, like, you know, oil pressure's in the middle, but it appears to be working. So I don't know if the actual temperature sender inside the engine block or the head is the correct resistance, or this is just how they run. So, but it appears to be working. Let's go ahead and turn it off. My dash lights still don't work. I don't know why. I'll have to figure that out later now. And what else? Battery gauge is it doesn't really go like that high either. Like, I think it's supposed to be in the middle, but it usually flickers back and forth between that first mark and that second mark on the left. As in, like, the very D and the quarter mark or whatever. About where it's at, just kind of flickers. So I don't know if there's something on the alternator or there's something with the gauge or whatever, but yep, that's these trucks for you. So I did forget to put in the little signal lights, so that's always fun. It actually kind of looks, I kind of like it like that a little more. Like, look at this. Look how bright that is. It's kind of nice. But I don't feel like taking it apart just to put that little piece in, because eventually I'm sure I'll have to take this back out anyway for, like, fixing those dash lights. So again, I'm not entirely sure what fixed it, if it was the gauge or the printed circuit board. I think it was the actual gauge that was messed up, and also the way the previous one had ran this wire was wrong. So I showed you the wire inside the gauge cluster. That's the wire for the temperature sensor. Inside the engine bay, it's this one right here, the very top right. It's dark green. So if you follow that wire, that will be your temperature sensor. Now, whoever has this before had it running up through here, back behind the engine, and it was plugged into something on the transmission. I don't know what it was plugged into. Maybe they thought they could read the temperature of the transmission. I don't know, but it was plugged in there, and it's supposed to be plugged in right there. You see that ghetto connection right there? That's not the proper one, but I was able to make it work. So on your cylinder head, there's a little sender sticking out, and that's where it hooks onto. So guys, so a little bit of an abrupt ending there. Man, I don't like the way the audio sounds in there. Like, it sounds so terrible in the garage, and someone in the background was doing something. If anybody has a camera mic recommendation, let me know, because I hate the way it sounds. This is just a little Canon, I forget, Canon EOS something with a Rode microphone on it. Small little camera. It's nice for what it is, but I hate this audio. So anyway, I hope the video helps out somebody. That hissing noise here at the end, like the kettle on the pot, is actually my radiator. There's like a crack in it. So that's that. And the ammeter, the alternator actually didn't put out enough voltage. I checked, it was like putting out like 12 volts or I think 11. I'm supposed to put out like 13 or 14, so alternator was bad. Still didn't fix the ammeter, but I actually have I'm gonna actually convert the ammeter to a voltmeter in the next video, and I'll talk about it more in the next video. But I just wanted to have a little ending because that was kind of abrupt. But anyway, though, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.